All right, so I'm over here at Walmart, and you know how you watch a video and it says story time, story time. I'm going to try to make this quick. I've already remade this video like 19 times, so this, whatever comes out, I'm just putting it out. I'm over here, and so I'm going to talk about a transient that was over here at Walmart, and then I'm going to go into deeper, more about myself when I was a transient, when I was homeless. And then I'll probably just wrap it up there. So there's a transient, young white boy. He's sitting outside. He's probably in his early 20s, and he's just like asking people for money. And he looks at me. And he goes, "Hey man, you have any change you could spare?" And I was like, "You need some cash?" And he's just like, "Yeah, just anything you could spare would be good." And I was just like, I'm already irresponsible with my money. I'm not about to give it to somebody just for nothing, okay? Um, and he just looks at me and he's just like, "Nah, man, I'm cool." And he just walks away. And it kind of pissed me off. So, enough to make a video, right? So, it kind of pissed me off because now I'm going to talk about myself. I was a transient. I was homeless. I was on the streets in a sleeping bag, sleeping behind Albertsons, homeless, okay? And it pissed me off because when I was homeless, there was a couple things that I made sure happened. One, stay clean. I absolutely had to stay clean. I would make sure I was groomed. I would make sure that, I smelled good. I would take showers. I got a gym membership. That's one thing I did. Another homeless person gave me that idea. He's like, "Why don't you just get a gym membership so you can shower?" And I was like, "Hey, that's a good. Thank you." So I did, and I would go to the gym sometimes twice a day and shower there. Okay. So I always had my soap. I always had my deodorant. I always had, my toothbrush, and I stayed clean. Okay. Now the second thing that I absolutely did was I would never beg for money. I would never ask anyone for money. I would never, ever, ever ask anyone for money. Not once. I could honestly say that. I would never say, "Hey man, can I borrow a couple bucks?" or anything like that. Or just, "Can you spare some change?" No. I used to go to AA meetings, and that's pretty much how, I ended up homeless because of my drinking. My drinking led me to the streets. My family was sick and tired of me drinking every single day. I had some roommates, and they were heavy drinkers. They were tired of me drinking. Like, when you're hanging out with other heavy drinkers, like hardcore heavy drinkers, and they're tired of you, that is bad. That's not good. Okay. And that's where I was. So, making sure I was clean, and I ended up in the AA. Okay. Long story short on that one, I ended up in the hospital. I had a BAC of 0.5. It was 0.5 something, but it was 0.5. And that would kill most people or put them in a coma. Either way, it would just not be good for them. But I was functioning, and I'm not bragging. Don't think I'm bragging about this. I'm just explaining this is how heavy of a drinker I was, that I had such a high tolerance that I could have a 0.5 and function. It was not good. Now, I ended up in AA through this program, through the hospital. Ended up getting into AA, and I'll make another video more about that, but more so about what's going on, or what happened to me back in the day. Now, the second thing I would absolutely make sure to do, stay hygiene, top notch. The second thing, I would never beg for money. Not once did I ever beg for money. I never once. I would never ask for money. I never said, hey, can I borrow a couple dollars? Nothing. The one thing I would beg for is work. I learned how to do tile. I learned how to do, I learned how to do tile. I learned how to do drywall. I pulled wire for electricians. Okay, I've poured concrete. I did a painting. The painting job was horrible. If I ever see that guy again and I recognize him, I'm gonna be like, hey, do you remember paying some stupid little kid, to do some painting? I will give him his money back, because he probably spent more money on the paint that I wasted than what he paid me for. Okay. So sorry, squirrel. I made sure to work, though. I absolutely worked for my money. I was an alcoholic. I didn't really do drugs at that time frame. I did more of the drugs before I was 21. And I did like hardcore drugs. I never did the downers. Never figured out what fentanyl was. Don't ever want to. But I did the hardcore uppers. Okay. And I was hooked on it pretty bad. And I decided to change my life from that. I saw where my life was going, and I was tired of it. There was this one gal that I told her, I said, hey, come with me. Let's get out of Dodge. F this. Let's get sober together. Let's get clean. And she goes, no. I ended up seeing her years later with my wife, and I saw her on the streets, and I was just like, she goes, hey, Minto, and I like turned around, and I was like, who the hell are you? She's like, it's me, Georgia. I was like, what the fuck? This girl could handpick, back in the day, she could handpick any guy she wanted, like that. She could not pay somebody to even give her a hug when I saw her, okay? Drugs destroyed her life, okay? It was destroying mine, and that's why I got out. And that's what alcohol was doing back then and recently, okay? Alcohol and drugs, they're killers. I swear they're freaking demons in there, okay? Why do you think they call them spirits? Right? So I'm just pissed at this kid because he just wanted free money, and that's all he wanted. He didn't want to work for it. I would have paid him the money too. I would have paid him. I need the help. Instead I'm making videos, right? I need the extra help. It's a lot of yard work, and it's easy. All it is picking up some branches and moving it to another spot. That's it. Pick up some branches, some wood, fence posts, stuff like that, and move it. And then go back and do it again. And just do that for 2 hours, $40. Do a good job. Another hour, $60. Okay? Hell, I would have probably even been like, you know what? I'm hungry. You hungry? Let's go eat. I would have taken him to a restaurant, and be like, let's sit down and have a meal, Tell me about yourself. No, he just wanted free cash. So that's my rant. If anyone made it this far, I'm just curious. If you guys really want more in-depth detailed about my lifestyle back in the day when I was a drug addict, when I was still alcoholic, if you want to know more, let me know. I don't want to just make videos and nobody watch them. I'm not out for views. I'm not out for comments and likes and follow me and stuff like that. I'm just out to help other people. I want my videos to be entertaining for people. I want them to be like, hey, I like your stuff. I like hearing about this. I could relate, or I know somebody that could relate, stuff like that. So if so, let me know, just write it in the comments. More about yourself, just whatever it is. Just tell me what you guys want to hear, and I'll make some videos on it. I am going to make a video if the gal that asked me a question about the waterproof secure for dentures, to do like a comparison. Oh yeah, I'll probably just respond in the comments, but I might make a video on it too. So anyways, gotta go. Hope you made it this far. Have a good day. And don't beg for money. Work for it.